All right, stuff I like.
Stuff I like. Stuff I like. Stuff I like. Stuff I like. Stuff I like. Stuff I like. Stuff.
All right, that was Matt Zwerkowski. Matt, keep your day job. I don't know. Let's talk about sex. Since it's all the news. I had this funny thought as I was driving home yesterday. I was thinking, if people restricted their sex lives to marriage, like all these problems would go away, all these Me Too things would go away. I thought, wait, how come no one's ever thought of that before? And of course, I realized that what the left is complaining about is the blowback from their own culture. They're the ones who told us that marriage didn't matter. They're the ones who told us to be free. They're the ones who told us that women love sex just as much as men. And now they're the ones complaining about how they get treated when you tear the fence down, when you tear the wall down. Who was it who said, don't tear down the wall until you know what's behind it? What's behind it is sex, which is an unruly, passionate, difficult, complex human system that was not built for civilization, right? It wasn't built to make civilization. It makes civilization, arises out of it, but it is a troubling, disturbing process that keeps civilization on its toes for sure. I was thinking back in the day when a woman's virginity was of value, as some of us still think it is, but back in the day when when all society thought a woman's virginity was of value, the idea was to talk her out of it. The idea was to seduce her, right? And if you couldn't seduce her, you might wind up marrying her. That was basically the kind of, I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said that a castle, neither a castle nor a woman's virginity can stand once they begin to parlay, once they begin to talk. And this process of trying to overcome a woman's virtue, a woman's resistance, created the art and the act of seduction, which has produced some of the greatest art there ever was. And there are whole poems, there are whole genres of poems that are just built on seduction. And I was thinking, I pity kids coming up today in the sexual world that they're coming up with now, where all the fun and all the danger and all the interplay between male and female are sort of stripped down to this kind of legalistic matter. And you don't know whether 30 years from now, something that went a little bit wrong is going to come back and destroy your career. It really is ugly. So I wanted to revisit one of my favorite poems. This has been on Stuff I Like once before, about 2 years ago, but it's worth bringing back. And I didn't read the whole thing then, and I'm going to read the entire thing now. It's a 1681 poem, one of the most famous seduction poems ever, to remind you of what's at stake here. It's called To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell, who was part of when the King of England was overthrown, he was part of that. He wasn't a Puritan, though, and as you will hear. And here's the logic of the poem, so you know what I'm reading, in case you lose track of it. He says to the woman, if we had all the time in the world, it would be okay for you to be coy. It's called To His Coy Mistress, meaning she's not giving over, she's not sleeping with him. If we had all the time in the world, that would be fine. But we don't. We don't have all the time in the world. And he says, if we had all the time, I would do nothing but charm you. Through all eternity, I would do nothing but charm you until you finally slept with me. But in fact, time runs out, life is short, and after you're dead, if you die a virgin, then the worms will eat your virginity instead of you sharing it with me. So now let's do it. Let us do it. And what's so wonderful about this poem is it basically reminds us that sex is part of the life drive. There's something essential about it, and it's unruly, and it doesn't work. Our sexual feelings don't work. There is no law that you can put in place that is ever going to make our sexual feelings and sexual actions bring it into league with civilization. It is always going to be a conflict between what men see, what women see, what people want, and just the urge to keep on going and love each other and stay alive and reproduce. So here is To His Coy Mistress, one of the great poems of all time by Andrew Marvell. Had we but world enough and time, this coyness, lady, were no crime. We would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love's day. Thou by the Indian Ganges side shouldst rubies find, I by the tide of Humber would complain. I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. My vegetable love would grow vaster than empires and more slow, and 100 years should go to praise thine eyes and on thy forehead gaze. 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest, at an age at least to every part, and the last age should show your heart. For lady, you deserve this state, nor would I love at lower rate. But at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near, and yonder all before us lie deserts of vast eternity. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vaults shall sound my echoing song. Then worms shall try that long-preserved virginity, and your quaint honor turn to dust, and into ashes all my lust. The grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. Now, therefore, while the youthful hue sits on thy skin like morning dew, and while thy willing soul transpires at every pore with instant fires, now let us sport us while we may, and now, like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour than languish in his slow chapt power. Let us roll all our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball, and tear our pleasure with rough strife through the iron gates of life. Thus, though we cannot make our sun stand still, yet we will make him run. Sexy life, as it used to be. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show. The Klavanless weekend is upon us. Survivors gather here on Monday. The Andrew Klavan Show is produced by Robert Sterling. Executive producer, Jeremy Boring. Senior producer, Jonathan Hay. Our supervising producer is Mathis Glover. Technical producer, Austin Stevens. Edited by Alex Zingaro. Audio is mixed by Mike Cormina. Hair and makeup is by Jesua Alvera. And our animations are by Cynthia Angulo and Jacob Jackson. The Andrew Klavan Show is a Daily Wire Forward Publishing production. Copyright Forward Publishing 2018.